Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my little introduction of my new Avenger model. This is the robot I'm dreaming of making once I have a bit of money. Um, it's a new version of Avenger. Basically, the main changes that I wanted to make over the old Avenger was putting the wheels in the middle so that the thing would actually drive, and changing to brushless motors. So you can see I've got two brushless motors for drive and a bigger one for weapon. Although I'll be running all three on four cells just to make things a bit easier and lighter, and plus these speed controllers only run on 4 cells. And yeah, um, I will be using chain drives in my new robot, which I'm not overly happy about because anyone who knows me knows that I'm not having a good time with chains at the moment. But I'm pretty sure I can figure out the bugs. Plus, I already own all the chains and sprockets, and I'll save a bit of money by reusing them. The chassis is going to be made from steel plate, so I've actually got two thicknesses. I've got a 6mm bisalloy plate at the front and in the bearing sections to hold the bearings in place, and I've got a 3mm mild steel plate on the back, bottom and top, just to save a bit of weight and get things fully covered. This bit of polycarb I probably use steel instead, but I've made it polycarb so I can see through it and see all the goodies on the inside. The model's not entirely finished yet. As you can see, it still needs like a power switch and wiring and a few other little goodies that I might change my mind on. The weapons are still going to be the 6mm bisalloy plate water jet cut, and I'm going to have that welded onto a steel pipe, which the pipe will make a handy hub because you can press fit the bearings into the end. So I've got taper roller bearings pressed into the end of the pipe with a steel plate weapon welded on and a plate sprocket welded onto one side. So that's a nice cheap hub. I'm not sure if it'll work, I'll have to still play with that once I can find some pipe. But yeah, that's what my new version of Avenger will look like. Well, actually that's the version with an axe. I'm going to make several different weapons so I can change them around just for the fun of it. So if we go over to my level of detail, I've got this machete blade saved in there, and we open this one. I've got a penetration point to try to skewer the other guys. It's got a mass weighted head on it just to give it a bit more energy so we can get the momentum to punch through, hopefully. And I've also been drawing, this is a saw blade, but all my teeth shifted down the far end, which is kind of making it look a bit gay. But if I fix it up and get the saw teeth a bit more evenly spaced, it kind of looks cool, but I'm not entirely sure I'll get it made. But it was a neat looking thing when it was looking good. Yeah, I actually should say that I save all my different weapon layouts as different levels of detail, so all 4 axes are actually in the model. I just suppress them out in different levels of detail just to make it easier to perv on my robot, pretty much. There's no real reason. But if we go to check the eye properties, physical, we can check the weight. Master level of detail. No, we don't want to check the weight of all 4 axes at once, only one at a time. So the weight with the axe is 13.373 kilograms, which is pretty close to the weight limit, but yeah, okay. You'll have to punch a few extra holes in there, but also my wheels are overweight compared to what I've got, and the battery's overweight. I always like to make a few extra common parts overweight, that way I can know that when the robot's built it's going to work and be underweight. I should point out that the way I draw my robot is different than the way most people draw Inventor models. Now I'm not going to say that my way is correct, and that's basically because there is no correct way to use Inventor. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube tutorials where people say that you draw this way and this way and this way, and it's kind of I get sick of that because there's 10 different ways to draw a model. Anyone who tells you there's one way to do it is full of shit. So if you use my videos as a bit of a tutorial, remember that it's not the correct way, it's just my way, and it's not right or wrong. But I might as well show you how I do it and why. It's going to take more than one video. It's probably going to take quite a few. So every time I do a bit of drawing on Avenger to finish it off, I'll turn on the recording program and demonstrate what I'm doing. But I'll give you a bit of an overview at the moment. This Avenger is drawn with a top-down method rather than bottom-up. To explain the difference quickly, bottom-up is I would have drawn each piece individually and inserted them and constrained them together, which is okay for small models, but if you're getting a huge model, it makes it much difficult to update. For example, if I found out that my robot's too heavy and I wanted to decrease the plate thickness down to 5mm, I would have to go through and update each part individually to make the thickness 5mm, make sure the slots are 5mm, make sure the angles are all correct so all the parts still fit together with 5mm. It would take an hour and a half to do. Whereas doing it top down, I'll just go through to the main skeleton and change one parameter and it'll update the whole model in about 10 seconds. And that also goes with like positions of bearings. Instead of changing 2 plates, it'll update all of them with 1 plate. I'll explain that later, but I might as well just give a bit of a demonstration now. Things like the wheels, speed controllers, motors, they're all individual parts and constrained in, but the chassis, which is the open, you silly thing. There we go. Open. The chassis is a not a common part. It's purely for Avenger, so it's done top down. As you can see, this is my welded chassis with all my plates were stuck together and a few extra bolts that I want to weld in to add as studs for the top plate. If we open, say, this part here, there we go, there's a bit of a water jet cut frame. Still not entirely finished, but that's what my water jet cut part will look like. And you can see here, derived in at the side, is a skeleton model, which brings in this sketch from a different model, as well as a few extra parameters for the plate thickness. So that's the sketch for this model is kept in another model. So if I open that other model, you can see it's just a model of sketches, nothing else. Sketches and planes. And this is my skeleton. This is the method of drawing that I learnt while working at Xstrata. And I have to thank Richie and Arvin Habracken for teaching me this because it's good fun. Yeah, this is basically, you can see it looks like Avenger. It's basically every single sketch in Avenger, all in one spot. So it's sketches for all the chassis plates, the axles, the hubs, and the weapons. Every custom made component is all drawn in one part. And it's a bit hard to explain. I'll explain it later in a different video, but I'll just show you how I update things. So if we go to parameters, we scroll down to user parameters. So the user parameter section is like your favorite dimensions, ones that you change a lot. And here I've got 2 at the moment. There's one for primary plate thickness and one for secondary plate thickness. So if we decide to change my primary plate thickness to 5mm, from 6 down to 5, we hit update. We'll save it, go back to the main model, update on this one, and there we go. You can see everything just moved a little tiny bit, but if we scroll down we can measure this one and see, there we go, that's 5mm now, and It's a bit hard to see, but there's little cuts and slots on the back here, which have all updated. There's no little gaps in there anymore. The angle plate on the front is all updated, so the 5mm, you've still got corner to corner sections. A bit hard to see because I've made my robot black, but it's all updated, all 5mm. And that took about 10 seconds. And if we check the weight, 12.185 kilograms. So yeah, we just lost 1.1 kilograms. And there we are, that's a 5mm plate robot now. It took 10 seconds to do. I've been listening to guys on the internet with other drawing programs saying that when they had to update their plate thicknesses to make sure everything's correct, it's taken them an hour or so to do, which is a waste of time. I prefer to spend an extra hour or so drawing this little skeleton to begin with, and it saves me much more time in the future, particularly once you get to 1,000 parts. You don't want to go update 1,000 parts one at a time. You want to go and change one dimension, done, update, save, back to the main model, update, finished, go have dinner. You don't want to spend 2 hours wasting time on that. So that's why I do top down. It's more than just plate thicknesses, it's the whole length of the robot I can change with one dimension, the whole bearing positions I can change with one dimension. It's a bit hard to explain all at one go, but in the next videos I'll start building up explaining how I do it. But yeah, this is new Avenger. A sexy looking beast. Funny offset axe and strange different plates at the front. It's going to make an interesting robot. Yeah, the axe isn't going to go on 270 degrees this time, so I'm going to go 180. And it's got these claws on the back to dig into the floor to stop it from jumping around so much. So it's going to be more competitive and less entertaining, but it'll still be a fun robot. Much more interesting than a spinner. Okay, hope you enjoyed this little introduction, and I'll see you next time I turn on the drawing program.